Welcome back to another episode of the Many Faces of Cancer podcast. I am your host, Melissa Grosboll, and with me today is the lovely Deb Jayne. And Deborah, or Deb Jayne, is a seasoned event manager with over 20 years of experience, including a decade planning large-scale conferences for a baseball association. In December 2020, Bases Loaded was founded. The company offers various services, including a study abroad program and internship initiatives aimed at grooming future leaders. Deb's expertise extends to assisting aspiring event planners, emphasizing the importance of hands-on experience. Recently, Deb expanded her offerings to group and individual travel packages, including cruises. As an 8-year cancer survivor, Deb also launched the not-for-profit BoobyTrap Foundation, where she supports women undergoing mastectomies and specialized shower scarves and heart-shaped pillows that she's going to talk about. And she also provides comfortable camisoles that have inside pockets to hold the drains that are attached to your body after surgery. She says, starting the nonprofit was an answer to prayer. God paved the way, and I picked up the reins and just ran with it. The scripture she lives by is Proverbs 31, 25 to 26. She is clothed with strength and dignity. She can laugh at the days to come. She speaks with wisdom, and faithful instruction is on her tongue. Welcome, Deb, to the show.
Thank you. So glad to be here.
I always love when people send me a bio, because then I don't have to come up with something to say. So we have a lot to unpack that I am so excited to get to, because your story is so inspirational and just unique, definitely in the way that you were diagnosed. So I want to kind of hop into that and tell me about, where your life was and how you discovered that you had breast cancer.
Okay. Well, I was working for a baseball association at the time, and I planned a lot of conventions, and we were getting ready for our spring analytics conference at the time, and my cat ZuZu kept nudging every time I went to bed. She kept nudging my left breast, and it was a little tender. I thought, well, that's weird that it's tender, but I didn't think anything of it. I kind of brushed it off. And then she just kept doing it and getting more and more persistent. Persistent. That's what I'm trying to say. And it was still always so tender. And this was probably a couple months gone by, and it was still so tender. So I thought, well, I better go get it checked out. So I went and got it checked out, and sure enough, I found out that I had stage 2B breast cancer. And as soon as I got it checked out, my cat left me alone. It was the weirdest thing.
Wow.
Yeah, she's like, okay, mom's on it. So
that is, wow. You had an amazing kitty.
Yeah. So she left me alone the rest of the time. And so I went through all the testing and everything and confirmed it. And I remember I got a call from my doctor, and they had tested, they saw the scans, and my doctor, my PCP, called me up, and she's like, you need to go see a breast surgeon right now. I'm like, well, I haven't had a biopsy. Don't I have to have a biopsy first? And she goes, no. She goes, I'm telling you, it's cancer. You need to go see a breast surgeon right now. And so I'm like, all right, well, wait a minute, who am I going to see? And so she gives me the phone number. And she goes, if you don't hear back from her by Wednesday, if you don't get an appointment by Wednesday, you call me up because I'll get you in. I'm like, okay. And that's my PCP. I mean, she just called me. She didn't have her secretary or nurse or anybody call me. She called me herself. And so I immediately called the breast surgeon that she recommended. And she got me right in the next day. And I remember when she was doing the exam, she felt my lymph nodes, and she said, your lymph nodes are enlarged. And she's like, when you have your biopsy, because I was going the next day to have my biopsy, she goes, you make sure they biopsy your lymph nodes. I'm like, okay. So that was a whole nother blessing that my doctor told me to go see the breast surgeon before I had the biopsy. Because when I went through to have the biopsy, they couldn't find the originating point of cancer, but they found it in my lymph nodes. But they couldn't find it in my breast, but they knew that I had cancer in the lymph nodes, but they couldn't find it. Had I not had gone and seen my surgeon and her feel my lymph nodes, they probably would have misdiagnosed me.
Wow.
So that was a huge blessing that, all that happened at that time.
God working in your favor as always.
Yes, always. And so when I did finally get the result that I had cancer, I'm driving in the car, and she's like, well, should you pull over? Because I got to tell you, we need to have a conversation. I'm like, no, I'm fine. Just tell me. And so then she told me that I did have cancer, and I'm like, okay, well, what are we going to do about it? I remember that was the exact words. And she's like, did you hear me? I was like, yes, I know, but I'm busy and I got things to do and I want to get it taken care of.
I was the same way. My first thought was, all right, let's just get it out of me. Like that's I don't care about anything else, just get it
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
Yeah. And she's like, okay. So we scheduled the appointment to sit down and go over all my options and everything. And one of the advice that I got from one of my friends that I found on Facebook, I didn't even know her yet, but I was just reaching out to a prayer group that I am a member of. And and so we connected through my breast cancer, and she told me one of the best thing that she learned was to have somebody always go with you and be your scribe, if you will, because you're not going to hear everything,
Right.
and you're going to only hear bits and pieces of things, but to have somebody go ask the questions, write the answers down, and all that stuff. So I had one notebook that went with me. I had several of my friends go with all my appointments. I always had somebody go with me. And I always told them, now you're my advocate. So if I don't ask a question that you're curious about, it's probably because I didn't think about it.
Mhm.
So you feel free to pipe in, ask any questions, because you're my friend and you're my support.
Oh,
And so I just gave them all that power, and I learned a lot. They learned a lot. I always said that I had the best support team ever, and I had the best doctors, and I would call them my dream team. And so yeah, I was diagnosed April 15th of 2016 was when I
that's
was diagnosed.
that support system is so important, and that has really been a theme through most of the interviews that I have done, is having that support system. My thing was, because I'm a doctor by trade, so I didn't necessarily take people with me when I went, because I'm a huge advocate for myself. And the one thing that I always asked at the end was, what questions have I not asked that I should know? Like, what, because I didn't know everything. I didn't know most
Mhm.
things. It was like, what do other people ask, or what should I know that I haven't asked you? And I got so many great answers from my doctors, with that. It's like, oh, well, here's what else that you need to know. And being an advocate for yourself, and making sure that you ask 100,000 questions if you need to. It's so important.
Right?
Yes.
Yes. So important.
Right. Okay. So take us through a little bit. So you had surgery scheduled probably right away.
Yes. So, because I am an event planner, I had a big event that was coming up that I had to go to that was in Miami, and I lived in Phoenix at the time.
Okay.
And and so I was like, okay, doctor, we need to get me scheduled because I need to be well enough to travel to Miami.
So
And
when
she's
was the Miami trip?
so that was the end of July.
Okay. So you needed to get in as soon as possible so you would have time to recover. Okay.
Yes. And she did not like that answer. I was like, I got to do it. It's my job. So she worked me in. Um, and the joke in my family, because my parents came out to help me, and the joke in my family was the Yankees. I'm a big New York Yankee fan, and they were coming to play the Diamondbacks, and they only came to see the Diamondbacks every so often. Like, I think it's every 4 years or something like that.
Oh, wow.
And my dad and I used to always go to a game together. And so we hadn't been to a game in years. And so the Yankees came right before my surgery. And so my
Did they
boss at the
win?
time, I don't even remember. I should look that up because I don't remember if they won
Yeah.
or not. I think they did, but I don't
Okay.
remember. And so my boss hooked me up and my dad up to be on the field batting practice for the
Aw.
Yankees. So we got to be there. Somebody signed a ball for me. Wasn't one of the players, it was one of the coaches. But that was okay. So I still have this on my wall behind me with my baseballs. And so that was the big joke that you planned your surgery around the Yankees coming to town. Like, I might have
Sounds
a little
perfectly
truth.
reasonable to me.
Yeah, thanks. So my surgery was scheduled for May 20th. So on Monday, I celebrate 8 years of
Wow.
cancer free. I call it my cancerversary.
Congratulations.
Thank you. That was the day that I had my bilateral double mastectomy. And yeah.
And you also did radiation as well.
6 weeks of radiation. I didn't start that until October,
Oh, okay.
the end
They
of
didn't want to
October.
do it right away.
No, because I had spacers, the
Okay.
expanders in there.
Mhm.
They don't immediately do the implants. You go in, you have to have the expanders in first, and then they have to pump the fluids in.
Big
Um,
fun.
so fun.
Yeah.
Every week. And so you have to wait till that's out, and then they do the radiation after that,
Okay.
after they're done filling.
And you had some kind of tools through all of this that were a big benefit to you. Can you talk a little bit about the different tools that you had that made your life easier?
Yeah, so one tool was I got these heart-shaped pillows, and they're very, very soft. And this is one of the items that I needed when I came when I drove home, or I didn't drive home, when I rode home from the hospital, because the heart, it would just fit underneath your armpit and go kind of hold up against your breast. And it would help when you were riding in the car if you hit any bumps or anything, because you're very tender after you have surgery.
Yes.
And so this was very, very helpful and instrumental in just helping me feel more comfortable. And I would just hold them in place as I was riding in the car, or just sitting in a chair at
Plus, it's kind of
home.
like a security thing too, right? Just something
Yeah,
soft
it's
to squeeze.
super soft. And I still have the ones that I got from the hospital. I still have them, and I think I'll keep them forever because they're just so soft and comfy. And so that helped me when I was riding in the car, sitting, watching TV, or just relaxing, or if I had to get up because you're not supposed to use your arms a lot.
Right.
And so when I had to get up, I'd kind of just maneuver my way up, but I would have them protecting the incisions and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then another item that I got was a meshed scarf, shower scarf. So this is mesh, It's all mesh, so it's waterproof, and it has these pockets that you put this around your neck, and you put the drains that you go home with inside these pockets. And then when you're showering, when you are allowed to shower, you're more comfortable because those drains are very uncomfortable and they hang off of your skin. They kind of pull. So when you get to take your shower, your first shower, you want to feel like a woman. You want to feel comfortable. You want to get clean. And this helped me. And so I use that. Another item that I have was the camisole, really soft camisole that is it's like a fleece camisole, and it has Velcro down the front, and it has inside pockets. And it was sleeveless. I wore those every single day, and I would go out in public in them because they were comfortable. And the inside pockets, I could put the drains in because I left the hospital with 4 drains.
Wow.
And so this way I could put the drains inside the pocket. I could still go out in public and nobody would know any different that I had this crazy surgery. They didn't see the drains, they were hidden, and I felt comfortable.
And that's so important because, especially with breast cancer and a mastectomy, I think as women, we feel so vulnerable.
Mhm.
And, sometimes we have these feelings of feeling like less of a woman because our breasts are gone and all of this stuff in our heads. And just sometimes it's the littlest things that just help us feel okay, like I can walk out in public and nobody's going to know and everything can be hidden and I can just feel as normal as possible. And with all of the emotional stuff that we go through going through cancer, just to have something like that is just, it's immeasurable how it can make
Mhm.
you feel. Absolutely. And so
Yeah.
this kind of has led to what you're doing today.
Yes. So, I just launched a foundation, a nonprofit foundation, and it's called the BoobyTrap Foundation. And it helps women who are undergoing mastectomies or treatments or breast cancer in any way, shape, or form. And we're raising money. We're offering support. We're giving them these little care packages. It gets all put in a little gift bag and mailed out to them if they're not local, or we hand deliver to them if they are local.
And where is local?
Local is Central Florida.
Okay. And now what goes in these little care packages?
I'm sorry, what?
What goes in the care
Oh,
packages?
so they'll get one pillow. They'll get the shower scarf, and they'll get information about the shower scarf and how it's used, and then they'll also get information about me and my journey.
Awesome. And
And
now for those people who aren't on video, so your pillows are a little different than the heart-shaped pillows that you had talked about. So can you kind of explain the pillows that you have right now?
yes, these pillows that I have right now, they're a circular pillow, and it has a little saying on it that says thoughts of strength, courage, and hope. And then it has a little tie, so you can put it right under your where your breasts are, and then you can tie it around you in the back, so it's a little bit more comfortable for you, or you can hold them in place. It's whatever's comfortable for you.
And they're not just for people with mastectomies. I mean, I had a lumpectomy and my breast was very sore just from the surgery. So kind of a little thing to prop them up. And I mentioned it, that kind of reminds me of the old, they probably still have them, like the boppy pillows that we used to use when, nursing babies or something, to just
Mhm.
kind of put the baby in the lap. So it's kind of similar to that, to just give support and
Yeah,
that nice soft feeling against you, whether you still have the breast or not.
right. Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly.
That is fantastic. And then You talk to me about another piece of what Booby Trap is doing as far as helping others.
So what we're doing is we're also looking to raise money to and to be able to earmark them for individuals. So if people want to donate to us for a particular person that they know is going through breast cancer, they can certainly do that. And 100% of that money that they have earmarked for that individual person will go straight to them. And and then we also offer support. We help them find different resources for them. Um, s- some people don't. I was able to go to a mastectomy class, and a lot of places don't offer that.
What is a
And
mastectomy class?
I didn't tell you about that.
No.
um, a mastectomy class that was at my cancer center, that they had a mastectomy class that you could go in there and you could bring your caretaker. They only offered them a couple times a month or once every month. And you could go in and somebody would explain the whole process of what you're going to go through when you have it, from start to finish, when you leave home, when you leave the hospital, all about the drains, how to clean the drains, because I didn't know anything about drains. I was like, what? I have to leave the hospital with drains? And so they would share all that information with me. So I felt a little bit better knowing what I was going into than just going in and saying, okay, cut them out. And and so that was very helpful. So I now share that information with people who want to know more, you
So
know.
they don't necessarily automatically do those classes for people. Oh,
No, I found out that
wow.
they don't.
Interesting. You would think that would be an automatic, like, hey, this is what it's going to be, instead of just waking up from surgery with these drains sticking out of you and having no idea why.
Yeah, I mean, maybe people's plastic surgeons or the general surgeon, the breast surgeon would explain it to them, but every location, every doctor, every place is different. They run everything different. And I just learned that somebody that I know is going to have a mastectomy next week, in fact. And she had a conversation with her doctor, and her doctor says, oh no, you can lift your arms, you can do all that stuff right after you leave the hospital. You don't want to lift anything more than 15 pounds. And she's telling me this, and I'm like, no, you can't do any of that.
Oh
What
my
is
God.
wrong with your doctor? Who is your doctor? Let me call her.
I think you need a different doctor.
Yeah. And she was very close minded. She didn't want to hear what I had to say. And she's like, nope, I trust my doctor. She said that's what can happen. I was like, oh my gosh. So my heart breaks because I hope to God that she'll be okay and she can do those things.
Mhm.
But the reality is you can't. You've got to really take it easy, you know.
Yeah.
And when I told my doctor I had to go to Miami, she was like, you're going to win. and and she's like, you cannot travel by yourself, you cannot lift anything, you have to have people lift things for you. And and she's like, I don't even want you carrying a clipboard. And I'm like, okay. And so my company was amazing, and my parents went there with me, so they made sure I didn't do anything. The hotel gave me this queen chair, and they put it right near the registration, and they said, you just sit there. And they brought me this comfortable blanket and this pillow,
Aw.
and all I had to do is just direct people what to do. So I was still there,
Mhm.
and I still participated, and I didn't get in trouble from anybody for lifting things, but I was still able to do my job, and everybody just took such great care of me to make sure I didn't damage myself, because they really didn't want me there, but I'm strong headed and was going anyway. So,
Well, it sounds like you work for a great company that loves you and takes care of you and makes sure that everything goes well for you.
yeah, yeah.
I love that. I love that. And that's still So again, I had a lumpectomy. I did not have a mastectomy, but I guess I didn't realize that. I mean, you had your surgery in May, and this was in July, and you still weren't able to lift anything. So did they kind of tell you how long you would have to, be like that?
They wanted me to be about 3 months to really not lift things.
Okay.
And, I could do little things, but they just wanted to make sure that I listened to my body and I rested when I needed to rest. I ate when I needed to eat. They
Mhm.
just said, it was a wake up call. And I did. I paid more attention. Even today, I pay more attention to my body and I listen and I try to do all the right things. I don't always do all the right things, but I try.
None of us do.
Right.
So tell me a little bit more about, like listening to your body and what kind of, I guess, tools or things did you start doing differently to be able to better listen to your body? Because, so many of us, we don't. We just keep going and we think our heads know better than anything else. So what have you done differently to be able to hear when your body's telling you what you should be doing and shouldn't be doing?
Well, one thing that rocked my world pretty much, was it shook me up and it's a wake up call and it made my faith so much stronger. So, um, whatever you believe, I believe in God and made my faith so much stronger in Him. And I listened to Him, I listened to my body, and, you know, that I pray, meditate, read my Bible. I also read a lot of, I'm on Facebook a lot. So I look at different stories for breast cancer and try to encourage them if they're going through a tough time. I want to be that other voice that can help people and encourage them, inspire them that, yeah, this is just a little bump in the road, but you'll get through it.
And we need that because, I didn't really share much about what I was going through until after my surgery and after it was all done. And I kind of said, I don't want to get a bunch of unsolicited advice because it's amazing when you say something, people just inexplicably need to tell you horror stories, you know? And like, oh well, if I had cancer I would do this, and I still got that so much, and it's like, no, you don't know until you actually get that phone call. You don't know what you would do. And so
Right.
we can say all the things that we want, but when you get that phone call, like then it's real, and then you have real choices to make instead of just hypotheticals kind of thing.
Right.
So like I didn't want a bunch of people telling me all these horrible things. So I was very particular about who I told and what I paid attention to on
Hmm.
social media, because the last thing you need is negativity when you're going through something like this.
Right.
So
So
so to
true.
be that voice of support and love, and you can get through this, I think is so important for so many people.
Yeah. I chose from the day that I was diagnosed to go public. And I don't really know why I did that, but I felt so strong that I knew that I was going to be okay. And I wanted other people to know that, you don't have to hide if you didn't want to. Everybody can share what they wanted to or what they didn't want to. And for me, it helped me in my journey to be open and share. And that's why I decided to do that. It it helped me. And like I said, I've met so many new friends that I didn't even know, and they all went through it and they gave me great advice. And now, we're best of friends, and we always laugh that it took us our boobs to get us to be breasties. We call it breasties.
Breasties, I love that.
Yeah. And so, yeah.
And that's a huge thing, and something that I've also learned through this journey is everybody's journey is their own. And you
Yes.
can't say this is what you should do, this is what you shouldn't do, I would or I wouldn't, like, just. And that's kind of a piece of advice that I give to people is honor your own journey and don't let anybody try and tell you that you're doing something wrong, or they wouldn't do it that way. Like, you got to make your own choices and be comfortable with the decisions that you make.
Absolutely. That is great advice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
um,
my family, I'm the only one that had breast cancer
Me too.
in my whole family. We don't have a lot of cancer in our family. So when I was diagnosed, I was like, "What, me? What?"
Yeah. Like,
So,
wait a minute, no,
yeah,
this isn't supposed to
we don't
be.
have cancer in our family. What's wrong with this picture?
But they say really only 5 to 10% of cancers are genetic.
Yeah,
So, which is good and bad news. Because
right?
the good news is there's 90 to 95% chance that you can do things to help prevent, that you're not, automatically like lumped into, well, this is going to happen.
True.
So I guess, we've talked a little bit about periodically throughout, but just kind of give me one silver lining or one blessing or the biggest one that you have taken away from this whole journey and having cancer.
I would say the biggest blessing is opening my nonprofit. I want to be able to give back to all the women who might be going through it. And, I'm very blessed that I had a really good network of people to help me get through that, but not everybody does. And I want to be that person. I want to help whoever I can, whether they have a huge network or they don't. I want to help them. And when I found out during the pandemic that the shower scarves weren't being made again, the company went out of business, I cried. I was
Hmm.
like, no, that was one important thing that I needed in my life when I was going through cancer. And at that point, I saved the one I had, and I saved it and I made it like a template so I could make these and give them out. So if that's the silver lining, it was, creating and having this nonprofit come to life and help other women.
I love that. I love that. And, so many people look at cancer as a death sentence and this horrible thing. And I have heard some of the most beautiful things come out of people going through this that probably never would have happened had you not had that diagnosis.
Yeah.
So that's beautiful. Um, and then I always ask all of my guests, what is one piece of advice that you would give to someone who is on this journey, whether it's they're just diagnosed or they're going through this journey? What is one piece of advice that you would give someone who came to you and says, "Oh my gosh, I was just diagnosed with cancer"?
And that's a great question. I would have to say find their support team, and as comfortable as you feel sharing with people, people just want to love on you, but find those people and let them love on you, let them encourage you, let them build you up, and as well as another thing, if you're going through a journey, somebody told me, and that was, when you go to see your doctors, and all your doctors, always bring somebody with you, because you're not going to always hear exactly what the doctor's telling you, because you're going to tune things out, because there's so much knowledge coming into your head. And somebody told me to have one notebook and write your questions before you go, and ask those questions, and bring your scribe with you, and allow them to be a part of the journey if you want them to, and allow them to ask questions that maybe you didn't think of, and just do as much as you feel comfortable doing in your journey, because it's your journey, and everybody's journey is different, and however you want to share it or not, that's your choice. And I guess that's all.
It's a lot, and that's beautiful. I love all of that.
Thank you.
So now, where can people find you if people want to take advantage and would like the stuff that BoobyTrap offers, or if they want to donate, or how can people find you?
So they can call 352-818-4800. That will go straight to me, or they can email at info at the BoobyTrap, and that's BOOBY trap foundation.org. It's a long one. Or we're still working on getting our website launched, so that's not launched just yet.
Okay.
But we're getting there, because like I said, it just opened. We just opened our bank account yesterday. So
That's so exciting. Well, we will definitely put that information in the show notes so people can go, and if it's okay, we'll put, I'm assuming it's going to be the boobytrapfoundation.org once it's
yes,
up and going. And so if people are listening to this a few months down the road, we'll have it in there that people will be able to go to at that point.
absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much for joining me today, Deb. And I am just so blessed to have been put into contact with you. And I love everything that you're doing. And congratulations on your 8-year cancerversary. It's hey, for those of us going through it, it is a huge celebration when you can say, hey, I've been cancer free for 8 years. That is fantastic.
Yes, and thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. It's truly been my pleasure. All right. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.